Good morning and welcome to VOP this morning. It is one of those days. My name is Esther Umachuku and it's quite an interesting moment right here in the studio, all right? Now, let's look at the fact that the Supreme Court has recently disclosed that there was no phone conversation between the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Olukayode Aruwola, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in order to influence the outcome of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. Plus, Colleges of Education Union has asked lecturers to work twice weekly in order to cushion the impact of subsidy removal. These two topics will be on our radar today. But in the meantime, we would like you to click on the like button, okay? Subscribe on our page. It is on YouTube, Voice of the People TV. And of course, on other social media platforms, we are voptv live, okay? First off, we'll be heading into what the front pages are saying. And of course, I'm not alone in analyzing what the front pages are saying. I have with me in the studio, Cyril Nabako.
Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Cyril. How are you?
Great.
Cyril, you don't look enthusiastic. You look a little bit down. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Well, let's put it down to the time. Yeah, but I mean it's a great day to be here.
Yes, it's a great day to be
Like I
here.
always tell you, the week is winding down, so we can unwind.
Of course.
Except that I don't know how many Nigerians are still able to unwind.
You understand.
The weekend. So yeah, but it's all good.
All right, we'll be starting off with the Nation newspaper this morning. And of course, on the front page of the Nation newspaper is 1.95 trillion naira allocation windfall for federal government, states, councils. And the writer actually says monthly graduation account inflow jumps by 148.4% following petrol subsidy termination. Okay, we also have that experts project firm up of naira in 6 months. I wonder what will happen to Nigerians in 6 months. We also have above the masthead, Tinubu Akpabio, governors strategize other palliatives. That's on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Agency gives conflicting petrol consumption figures. That's on page 4. And of course, we also have a delicate Sweden lawyer as health commissioner, UTME resort forgery, Misoma begs jam. That's on page 2 and page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And we also have how court granted 72.2 billion naira damages against EcoBank in favor of Honeywell. Those are the majority of the headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Cyril, I actually want us to look at the fact that agencies are giving conflicting petrol consumption figures on the Nation newspaper. Exactly what is that?
Because government is not ready to fight the corruption that subsidy was. We've said it here time and again that Nigerians were the victims of subsidy corruption. You now make us become the people who pay the price again to fix the problem. Why not go after those who stole all the money? Because I believe that if you're able to recoup those monies, there will be enough to cushion the impact of that they are facing today. Subsidy in itself wasn't a bad thing. Okay. They're taking it because of the corruption that came into it. $400 billion naira every month. Now the question is, how much fuel are we consuming now, and what fuel were we consuming all along? The reality is that if the real figures came out, I think some people have questions to answer. So eventually, because those figures were figures of corruption, you may never really get to know how much fuel we consume. That bill was an inflated bill. That bill was a bill. Somebody come from Port Harcourt, another come Sokoto, everybody says, I've imported. Just your license, just whatever it is you show, and they pay money into your account. Who does that? All the committee was set up from Governor Issa Yugudu of Bauchi,
yes,
to reps committees, senate committee. Everybody has come to the conclusion that subsidy was a fraud, and yet we can't confront the fraud. So agency giving conflicting figures, for me, I mean, I could say anybody could have seen it coming. They cannot tell you the actual figure. Nobody will give it to you, because they know if they did it to be exposed. So, but we must do the math. We must not be lazy. What government has tried to do is to say, you know what, the baby and the battle are both cost. Throw them out the window.
But the agency said initially that Nigerians consumed about 52 million liters of petrol. Later, they now said that it is 46.3 million liters that are consumed daily. So they're not being would I say, straightforward in how they're really now, how much Nigerians consume on a daily basis. And one would think that since subsidy is now being removed, like they've removed subsidy, in order to create that sense of transparency, there'll be a renowned agency, one particular agency that will give a report of how much, petrol Nigerians consume daily. Would you say that the president is not being advised properly, or possibly he has placed people to do that and they don't know what to do?
No, no, Esther. As it is today in Nigeria, looking at the public service structure and setup, for almost every function that needs to be on that needs to be done, you have nearly 4 to 5 agencies that have overlapping responsibility to discharge that function. There's DPRO, there's NNPC, there are the units in downstream hubs, there's NMDPRO, there is Minister of Petroleum itself. I can tell you there are departments that overlapping that can give you these figures. Why haven't you fired the statisticians? The data analysts in this era when data analysis has become the new thing. Nigeria cannot do simple mathematics. The fact is this, and it's not as if you're going to compute in big figures. It's just a matter of acquiring data and interpreting it. That's all you need to do. But let me say this: having to observe that Nigeria, since about the mid to late 80s, until you get an independent auditor to audit the books of a government agency, you are wasting your time asking them to give you the truth. Haven't you seen it? So I wouldn't expect them to. It was coming to this, that when the subsidy thing is taken away, we won't be able to tell, because of course it will implicate people.
Persons ask
We're not investigating it.
Persons ask questions that why has the president not called to question Millie Carey? Why has the president not possibly asked him to step down? I mean, that particular position is based on ministerial, whether it's a presidential nomination, isn't it? So why, considering the fact that there's a lot of corruption going on in that sector, why has he not called him to question? Why has the president not called Millie Carey to question?
Well, the president has to personally come to terms with the fact that Millie Carey has questions to answer.
Okay.
Or perhaps he is aware already, but would rather take his time.
Take his time. He didn't take his time for Abdurrashid Bawa. He didn't take his time for Godwin Emefiele. I had a Sirika too. We've not heard anything.
Yeah, well, so this just tells you about the values, the ideas, the normative thought patterns, the president's own approach to dealing with these issues. For me, the office of the president combines political responsibilities, policy responsibilities, and so on. Now, if the president, for whatever reason, will rather not even fire Millie Carey, for example, it means he will have to transfer that body to another administration or whoever later in the day. We saw the thing that happened with the oil windfall of 1991. Nobody said anything about it until the Abacha came and formed the panel to investigate it. We saw people like Godwin Emefiele and Abawa would have been in office if Buhari was president.
Yes.
In fact, not only been, they would have been the linchpins of government. Okay, but Tinubu came along and said, so if out of 5, Tinubu has removed 3, shouldn't we even say, okay, well, let's maybe we postpone when. Not that it's the best to talk about it, but the president has even some. And Esther, I don't know if you're among those who are happy that Godwin Emefiele and Baba were taken out of office.
I'm not among those. I'm basically just being objective with what is at play.
Okay.
How Nigerians feel
because
after what happened.
Because the fact is, removing Millie Carey, what does that even mean, first of all? Because we took out Godwin Emefiele. What has that now come to mean? In fact, we are gradually tilting towards making Emefiele a hero of the people now.
Yes, good. Yes, considering the current, what is being exposed now, that's true.
You arrest a man, detain him, no further charges.
No
Are you aware that by law, the DSS has no power to take anybody to court?
Under the charge, even with the charge that they presented at the court, it's not even within the purview of the DSS.
A man that you accused so glibly of terrorism, of sponsoring Boko Haram, you now turn around and say, well, he
was caught with a shotgun.
Fire. And besides that, a day later, you are on Twitter saying that
the lawyer representing him is one of the lawyers that represented IPOB.
The same DSS has discharged and acquitted Governor Peter Mbo of Enugu. He said his NY certificate It's not forged.
Can you imagine?
And you know, actually,
is it the DSS that is meant to do that, or is it supposed to be the NYSC director?
Or even a competent court of law? Actually, last night I saw the story and I had a good laugh. You know, so Esther,
you had a good laugh with theatrics that explained the country.
Removing Mele Kyari for me does not really solve any problem. To be fair, because you took out Emefiele, what has that now come to symbolize for us?
And it's just to let people know that you will not.
And then last week, the DSS said that in compliance with the court order, they've charged him. And I was thinking, so if there was no court order, you wouldn't have charged him to court.
Sorry,
what does that even mean?
Do you think?
And Bawa, where's Bawa now? He's just languishing in the cell.
We've not heard anything. We don't even if he's even in the cell.
All of this is a joke, because the fact is this: the powers of the DSS, powers of road safety, powers of the other one, the one they call yellow fever.
LASMA.
No.
Which one?
Before LASMA came, the federal road, the traffic.
VIO.
No.
Which other
they
one?
wear orange and black. The federal traffic.
No, it's not.
No, it's the traffic. Anyway.
They regulate traffic.
Yeah. Federal regulator. You know, it was because they couldn't do the work that Lagos now had to bring LASMA. Otherwise, initially you had these people that used to wear
yellow,
orange
deep wine. No, it's wine trousers.
No.
And
orange and black. Then sometimes they wear a handkerchief also on their. Yeah. So road safety, all of these, including DSS, all of these are police functions, Esther.
Police functions.
They are by law. Those are police. If you look at the criminal code, right? Sections 93, 94, all the powers is from section 93 to about section 102 are what they just removed to form EFCC. That's why you see that all the people that will become EFCC chairman are all policemen. It's police work. There is a unit in the police called NFIU. That's the job of the EFCC actually. That's what Financial Intelligence Unit. That's what the EFCC does. Including DSS, it's all police work.
Including ICPC.
It's police work. It's not independent corrupt practices. That is special offenses. It's police work. The DSS ought to be police intelligence. How did they even form DSS? That was initially called NS under Babangida. Wasn't it because listen, when the police fails, you open DSS. After a while, there's NSCDC. After a while, there another one was even called Peace Corps. Later on, you split police and have the road safety people. But have they all not fallen back into the same morals that the police had fallen into when you began to establish these other new arms? They've all fallen back to where to ground zero. So the problem is not the failure of the institution. It is about leadership that has not woken up to take responsibility to do things where they should be done. So, I mean, the president can fire everybody, whoever he wants to fire for all he cares. But in the end, does that help us better? What solution has that? What problem has that even solved?
Has it revamped the sectors?
Has it? Has it? And I had experts project that the economy will bounce back in 6 months.
In 6 months.
If I had seen this, I mean, this is with due respect to whoever it was that's making projection, Esther, if I saw this story maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, well, Nigeria still has some. But what are they using? What barometer are they using to tell me that in 6 months things are going to get better? You know, if they're not sympathetic with what government is doing.
All right, let's move to the next national daily this morning, which is The Guardian newspaper. And of course, the major headline there is banks, firms and currency risk capital erosion crisis as dollar hits 850 naira. Dollar hits 850 naira. We also have above that major headline there, 3 persons killed in fresh Plateau attack. That's on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper, if you want to check that out. Then, of course, we also have on the bottom page, Senate urges relaxation of age requirement for jobs, and that's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have Folana, PDP slam federal government, NNPCL over fuel price hike. That's on page 6. We also have at the very bottom there, Northern leaders wrong to ask amnesty for bandits, terrorists, says Clock. And that story is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. All right, those are the major headlines on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Cyril, I know that we've continued to talk about the fuel situation and the spike, and of course it's affecting the naira. The naira is very weak. It happens to be that consecutively, almost on a daily basis, the naira keeps weakening to the dollar. It's 850 naira to the dollar. Recall that inflation is 22.79%. This is one of the reasons why that is. If experts are saying that now that the market is deregulated, we are going to have to see a stable, inflow of the dollars or to the naira, but it's not coming. So the question now is, what should we do now? How do we cope with this? Because this is the current market reality, and most of the goods and produce that we consume here are imported, and those imported will definitely have to reflect a profit on what they import.
The U.S. Federal Reserve, we had what they said some weeks ago, that the devaluation, the way we took it, that it should have been taken piecemeal. I mean, economists like lawyers have their variegated views, the way they look at these things. But the president's advisors, I don't know if there are core economic managers among them. I don't know their background so well. You can have people who are experts at monetary policy, fiscal, whatever. But in terms of economic management, I don't know if he has enough of them. A number of them, former bank CEOs, people from banking sector, but economic management is a different. It's a branch all by itself in economics. I don't know if he has enough economic managers who, like Ngojo Konjewela, who can assess what is going on and give.
Predict.
Yes, now they or even advise him properly, and then he taking the advice. The challenge is still the same. We have floated the naira; it is sinking.
Okay.
And since believe me, Esther, if you had dollars, I don't think it today the dollar will inspire patriotism in any Nigerian, because the more the dollar goes, the more the naira weakens against the dollar. So if you had $100, for example, imagine what that is already. A lot of people don't say these things, but the fact is, if you had some few dollars in your pocket, it doesn't make you pray the prayer that naira should be stronger against the dollar. But government has to match its words with action.
Actions. It's
not enough to say we floated the floated naira. So what? Floating naira is a discussion that has been there for many years. I know the late economist Henry Boyo wrote extensively about it. Now you floated the naira, and there are not enough dollars to match the need. Okay, pending when we can become locally sustainable. Now, what can we do? Can we work with local manufacturers and say, how can we give you rebates? The contractionary taxation that the president is introducing are fine, but they cannot be the long-term solution to the problem we have. A rich government versus an impoverished people. When we talk of the wealth of the nation, we are not talking about wealth of government, we're talking about wealth of the people.
Serious.
So if we're on this path, dollar is in short supply, local manufacturing is stifled, what
in
then
fact,
is the difference?
There is even an unevenness in distribution of assets and liabilities, and current experts are saying that the currency crisis has shrunk the books by close to 50% this year, putting pressure on capital adequacy levels of the sector. So financial institutions don't even have enough. If you've opened the market,
exactly.
If you've opened the market, it's not available. It's not even there. You still have the CBN being the sole, distributor of the dollar.
Just like the NNPC, sole distributor of
despite the fact that the sector is deregulated.
Sole importer of petroleum. So I think that beyond the facade of what suits propaganda or what suits public perception, I think, and this is plain truth, when you look at the three candidates who ran for office, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Bola Tinubu,
even NNPP too,
they are of course, but these are three completely different people in terms of how they look, how they come to government. Perhaps an Atiku he was not my candidate. I didn't vote for him. I'm not sure I would have voted for him. I'm not a member of the PDP. Perhaps an Atiku would have handled this particular scenario better.
You think so?
Hold on. Because he is a capitalist through and through.
True. Okay.
He's a conservative. Okay. He's a businessman. And so on the economic front, the other time he even took Peter Obi to be his running mate.
Yes.
So on the economic front, he is pro-business. Atiku is even people tell that Atiku is pro-business. So he would rather have private businessmen doing the work government should be doing than having an overburdened government doing everything.
Like he stated he was going to sell the refineries.
Yes. So he would have pushed everything over to private. Can you do it? Take. Can you do it? Take. Can you do it? But the thing is, we would have given it to cronies. I don't know. That's why I say I would not have supported him. I didn't. He wasn't my candidate. But I'm just explaining to you what his own philosophy would have been. A Bola Tinubu wouldn't do any differently from what he's doing now. Tinubu's own idea is bring everything to the table of government. Government should be people's big brother. He did it in Lagos. Yes, government should let the government. So he's oriented more towards the leftist school of politics.
Okay.
Government intervention, government coming to, because of course, I mean that's his own orientation. P2B would have been anything in between.
Okay.
What government can do, let government do. What people can do, let them do. So this is where how you
my own is to create an enabling environment for it to thrive.
So people would have said, why should government spend 50 billion instead of 5 billion? So instead of government spending 50 billion, come, which of you can, because businessmen don't waste money.
That exactly.
Yes.
They're more conserving money.
Yes.
And more profit oriented.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what P2B would have done, for example. So this is the president's own way of thinking, his own way of doing the thing. When you talk of the wealth of Nigeria, he sees it as the wealth of the government first of all, before it goes into any other thing. Some people will tell you the wealth of the nation should be wealth of the people. Let's have people have more money. That was the economics that Ronald Reagan practiced in America, supply side economics, where they say tax cuts, more money in the circulation, more investments, economic boom. Anywhere there's a shortage, government comes in. So it's the way they go about this thing. But I mean, the president has. This is only 2 months into. Is up to 2 months?
Yes.
Less than 2 months, right? He came in May 29.
This is June.
To June 29. So
in a few days,
this
will
is
2 months.
It will be 2 months, and where we are cannot be the picture of where we are going.
Did you think it's too early for Nigerians to say, "Hi, we don't want again"?
Well, can it be too early if there are there's salary cuts, there are job losses, people can't pay bills anymore? Could it be too early? Like I say, we shouldn't pay the price for the sin we didn't commit. We shouldn't pay a price for the sins we didn't commit. That's my own contention. Right. Don't make us become scapegoats to a crime we do nothing about.
In regards to what you just said right now, on the front page, the next headline we'll be looking into, or National Daily we'll be looking into, is the Punch newspaper. And the headline actually says that fuel price hike, business operators panic. Okay, they fear shutdown and job losses. The writer says hike to worsen manufacturers' woes. Many SMEs will die. Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, LCCI lament. NLC considers emergency meeting. PDP slams federal government as reps summon NNPCL bus. One would think that this is particularly too late. You see all of that story.
It's a joke.
You see all of that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And then we have above the masthead, questions, anxieties as Tinubu drags feet on appointment of ministers. That's on page 9. We also have beside that headline, NNPCL monopoly ends as marketers' fuel vessel arrives. Okay, let's hope that that's a sort of reprieve. And that's on page 20. We also have beside that, renowned Nigerian writer Kole Omotosho dies at 80. And that's on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. Train attack caught OK's secret trial of Boko Haram negotiator. That, of course, is on page 8 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Drug dealers forfeit 111 abandoned vehicles, and that is by, the federal government. All of that is on the front page of the Punch newspaper. So in regards to what we've been talking about, all the national dailies are literally saying the same thing, but Punch is saying what is actually realistic. We should expect job losses. We should also expect that business operators will shut down.
They will fold, of course. I mean, but I just said it now. Great. Look, the thing is, even for when you talk economics, you're talking the starkest of realities. That's why they are grouped as social science. It's stark reality, principles, mathematical indices, data, statistics. If the numbers don't add up, you don't expect a miracle to happen. Okay? So you must plan, you must forecast, you must look at the dynamics of the environment, you must think. That's how economics works. It's not what you wish away.
Cyril, how should employees
You can't.
cope?
No, look.
The reason why I'm asking this is, for example, you do have lecturers saying that they'll be coming to school twice in a week.
Esther, let me cut in.
What about companies that rely on their staff coming daily?
Esther, let me cut in. They very, very, and it's not a new thing. It's not new. It has happened in many countries of the world. They stack reality. This is what you're seeing. When government wants to take in, whether it's through taxes, appropriate. When one wants to take in, those are leftist, socialist ways of thinking.
But this is brutal, Cyril.
A fat state that now decides how it will feed its people.
Okay.
Unlike the conservatives that say no, allow people decide their own fate and destiny, whether politically or economically. Let them breathe, give them room, give them space to thrive. What we need to do is to provide regulation. When Obasanjo came in, he was doing that. That was how things like NITEL went. Okay, because that idea of they used to say the commanding heights of the Nigerian economy must be controlled by government. Let me tell you, this mobile phone that we use today, if only you know how the Nigerian elite, some big men in Nigeria fought against it. They said no. It's a national security risk. How can you give people power to make? But look, those are retarded ways of thinking.
That was in 2000.
Babangida was under enormous pressure. Why will you allow private people to own a broadcast license? Because you know that you cannot stage a coup without possessing radio and TV back in the day. So they said, you give the private, it means anybody can go on radio and say anything he wants to say. It is not true. It's not true. When these phone calls, when people started saying, you can call into our studio and give us live updates, they said, no, what? People will call in and scare the public. Somebody will call in and say, there's fire on Third Mainland Bridge. When there's fire on Third Mainland Bridge, Esther, today we are making focus. This way of thinking that the people, you don't trust the people, they can't think for themselves. No. Bring everything. Let's be. These are 18th century thinking. It's no longer. Look at all the big companies in the world today are not government owned. Twitter, Facebook, Meta, WhatsApp, all these things. They are privately owned, but even government can't function without those things today.
That's true.
Good. So whether I call them this is economics, okay? They are breaking global barriers. They are bringing the work closer. So even in Turkey, where Tayyip Erdogan banned Twitter, the day there was a coup against him, it was Twitter he used to rally the. Yes, now he used Twitter he opened Twitter and used to rally the whole country against the coup plotters. That's what he did. 2016 or 17, yes, there was a coup. In fact, they came so close to taking power. What are we saying? So we must find a way to, look, I always say this. How is it that a country that wants to be giant of Africa, that wants to be a global powerhouse, has a dead manufacturing sector?
To be honest, Cyril.
You're not going anywhere. Face the truth. You can't go anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Face the truth. You want to buy pin, office pin, you import it. Toothpicks, you import it.
Matchstick, you import.
Banana, you import. Egg, you import. It's clearly, then the minister said that they wanted to invent pencils. When so more than 50 years of science education in Nigeria, from Uniben to Unijust to Zaria to Port Harcourt to what's it called, to Ibadan, to Enugu, to Nsukka. We cannot all the masters and PhD people I'm writing. What have you been writing them on? Because ideally, if you're mechanical engineering, let's talk about engineering, okay? When you write your masters, you are proposing a new invention. PhD. So all the people that are bagging PhD, what have you been doing with them?
Exactly.
They've been writing into heaven.
They're writing it and possibly traveling out. I'm writing books and papers, giving recommendations. Nobody's
See what has been happening. Normally, if you finish from Harvard or any good school, that's when maybe you go to Silicon Valley, or you now want to head into a place where you can bring your learning to bear, to bring solutions to society. Do you know that in Nigeria, after school, you say, thank God.
One of them, Cyril.
Say,
I'm one of them.
thank God.
I'm one of them.
That's what you normally say. That's like turning the thing backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, turning things backwards. So what must happen is that the president has to perhaps reconsider his strategy. Man is saying something. Everybody is saying that and it is only some economic experts that are saying that in 6 months' time.
Very few.
Are they prophets? You know, even but when somebody said by this time tomorrow there will be so much food in the land that and somebody said even if God opens heaven, it won't happen.
And reps want to summon the NNPCL boss of what is that?
Does he report to them? I thought NNPC is not a private company. He still reports to them because it was a fake thing they did. The NNPC still belongs to federal government. Who are the shareholders? Minister of Finance and Minister of Petroleum. And so why are they not answering to the ministers of Finance and Petroleum? Why is reps not be the ones
summoning him? It is quite unfortunate, sir, but we need to round off on this particular segment and move on to other interesting conversations that we need to have today. All right, now up next on VOP this morning is this. The Supreme Court has read the riot activists suggesting that there are moves by the CJN to tilt the outcome of the Presidential Election Tribunal in favor of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Details of this when we return.